Imagine this, the landscape in high summer is a wash of gold and green. The harvest is ready for reaping, and the hills are in leaf. The forests, thick and dark as a warrior's beard. There are blue lakes in the glades and ruined castles, magical haunts for a solitary boy. Birds call in the pines above, and they are punctuated with an inblown waft of cowbells, coach horns, and tavern bands. This is the land that gave birth to Gustav Mahler, the landscape that infuses his music, the view that he would call to mind each summer as he sat down to compose his symphonies. His first composing studio was beside a lake, the second deep in the woods, and the third a mountain meadow. "Don't look up," he said to one of his visitors. "Don't look up there. I've already used all of that and set it to music." Gustav Mahler, a little man in stature, a troubled personality, yet transcending the turbulence to show the world how the ordinary sounds and stirrings of everyone's life, turned into music, could excite and expand the meekest human spirit. Ordinary things, no longer ordinary. As I was driving home a few evenings ago, the young person sitting next to me said, "What do you think happens when a person is dying?" Earlier that very day, I had sat with two people much, much older than he. And they had asked me, they were wanting to talk to me about how they might manage the final things of their life. And rather than sit and wait for it to happen, or watch the sand run unchecked through the glass, they were asking, could we do things better, differently? So as if I was having a different part in the orchestra, in the evening a young man beside me puts his question. What do you think happens when a person is dying? Ira Brock, one time palliative care doctor, was asked a similar question. What should we say when we're dying? And he said 4 things. He said, say, "Please forgive me. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you." I've heard those 4 things said many times on the radio as people have found them and spoken of them. I think in our better moments, we can do better than those 4. At the end, let us hope we can say, I have some good memories. Or for sure, there are some wretched memories, but focus on the good memories. I've met some amazing people. Or for sure, I've met some ugly people, but I'm going to focus on the amazing people I've met. I've befriended some beautiful animals. My study window looks out on the dignity and the diversity and the colour of the trees across the street. Some books have brought me great stories. At many points I've paused to wonder at the gifts of life. And here and there, if we stop for a moment in our ordinary lives and worshipped. Well, is that what we'll do at the end of our lives? You see, it matters very little. It matters not at all at the end of your life whether you can recite the 10 Commandments or the 39 Articles of Religion or the 12 Steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let them all be. Rise above everything ordinary. And we do that when we do as the two small animals did in that story of the wind in the willows. What did they do? They bowed their heads and did worship. Ordinary lives, rising above our ordinariness. Several years ago, as some of you know, I visited Chicago. And right along that marvelous avenue called Michigan Avenue, the city had placed artistic, full-sized images, plastic images of cows in all colours, painted. And each cow bearing a different name in a cow-like way. Then a few years later, I visited our own city of Shepparton and found they had copied this Chicago idea, and they too had placed full-sized coloured plastic cows in various parts of the city. I imagine they did it to try and show that all the ordinariness of this city could somehow be brightened up and it becomes something more than ordinary. And I thought about this, and I remember Daniel Callahan's article in this journal that I subscribe to called The Hastings Report. The Hastings Report, and he was one of the major contributors to it. And he tells the story right at the very beginning. His mother died at the age of 86. He said she was a forerunner of new aging. Not for her the drab dresses and sombre hats of her aging peers. Her clothes were always bright yellows or reds or fashionable beige. Her hair well dyed, and her curiosity insatiable. At 70, she took up painting, and by the time of her death, she had won several prizes for her painting. He said she also had one piece of wisdom that she said old age had given her. And this is it. Always have young friends. He said, I took her to mean that no special wisdom comes with age. Look to the young for renewed vitality and fresh ideas. So how to be different? There is something in many of us that wants to change the ordinary into something more. If your name is Brown, you want to spell it differently, put an E on the end of it. If your name is Kay, K-A-Y, you want to put an E on the end of it, different. If you have a Mac in your name, will you spell it M-A-C or M-C or M-hyphen? Will you spell the second part with a capital or a lowercase? Of course, some people have a name like Dalziel, but they say, no, it's not Dalziel, it's the L. Some people have a name like Strachan, but they say, no, it's not Strachan, it's Strawn. Or if your name is Catriona, no, it's not, it's Katrina. Or if your name is Sheamus, no, it's not, it's Seamus. Or if your name is Rice, R-H-Y-S, he will say, no, it's Reese. Yes, indeed. And if your name is Menzies, we all know that word is, in the Scots language is pronounced Mingus. And those of you who are Stuarts, Stuart carried the staff today, S-T-U-A-R-T. But I know many people who want to be different. They want to spell their name S-T-E-W-A-R-T. And so it goes on. Being different. Not ordinary. How then to be different? Well, here we are. Stop your fixations on people's faults. That's easy to pick out their faults. He said, love your enemies. That's a shock. Be generous to those who treat you badly. Pray for them, for God's sake. Pray for them. That changes everything. If someone takes your coat, he said, give your shirt as well. So you want to start, how much more? How much more must I do? Ah, yes, more. He says, by the way, go the second mile. The second mile. And then, for your own sake, he said, for your own sake, for God's sake, for your own sake, forgive. 7 times. No. 7, what? 70 times. 490 times. Unlimited forgiveness. It sure gives a very unordinary look when you start doing that. Do not condemn, he said. Anybody can condemn. Be different. Start affirming the goodness of life. How to live an O+ life. O+. Ordinary, yes, but put a plus after it. The majority of people have a blood group which is O+. So remember, you could be O+, whether your blood group is that or not. Be O+. Some people say, let me belong to just an ordinary church, would you? I don't want all this other stuff. But I say an ordinary church is a boring church. And the Bible says, behold, I make all things new. Well, now, surely that means if you make things new, things will be different. And if different, they'll be a little bit out of the ordinary. I once had an organist here, and I would have the gall to suggest to him how I wanted the hymns played. And he would point to the book and say, I play it as it's written. And I would say, but will you play it loud or soft? Will you play it fast or slow? Will you play it the same every time, or will you play it with a different cadence for a different circumstance? Will we be ordinary, or will we dress it up a bit? Make it new each time. Behold, I make all things new. O+ or O-. Which do you want? The other day I walked along the shelves in the bookshop. Books. Ordinary books. But here and there one book stands out. What makes it stand out? The cover, the title. Suddenly, out of all the books, this book jumped out at me. Dr. Christine Northrup's book, Goddesses Never Age. And I thought, well, I can't be a goddess, but I'd like to find a few of them. And it says here, as a subheading, the secret prescription for radiance, vitality, and well-being. O+. She could have added, how ordinary people can realize they can be different. How ordinary people can know they're special. How ordinary people can be O+. Oh yes, and on page 270, she wrote about the heart. She's a doctor and she knows about the heart. She says the heart is more than just a self-propelled muscle the size of your fist. Your heart is the center of your emotional expression. And what it sends out can be felt by all around you. And then she added, our hearts thrive when we're not being controlled by others. And they are powered by divine love, your heart. Powered by the divine love, the most powerful healing force in the world. Whatever it takes to get your heart pumping with excitement and joy, with the movement of being alive. Go for it. Walk, dance, swim, play. Make your life O+. Some time ago, I read a little book, some of you have read it, just a little book called Bliss. What we all need but often miss. Your bliss. You'd think we'd all want to find and embrace your bliss, but no. Joseph Campbell, a great writer of a different generation, wrote several books, and many times he wrote in those books, follow your bliss. Follow your bliss. We need to overcome the obstacles to our bliss so that we can find our bliss and follow it. One consideration in that is the way we hold on to the things we might let go. We could let them go. So step out of the ordinary. We're all ordinary, but we can step out of the ordinary by doing a few simple things. Plant a tree, a rose, a lavender bush. We're all ordinary. We can step out of our ordinariness by becoming ordinary plus. We can bring a little pleasure into another person's life. We're all ordinary, but then we can do a U-turn. See a different view. I often say to some people who come to see me at my other place, I say to them, it runs in the letter T. For some people, it is in the way you talk. It is in turning a blind eye. It is the way you turn a bad event into something different and good. It is all in the timing. When to speak and when to be silent. I read a little bit from the book of Ecclesiastes today. When to walk towards a person and when to walk away from that person. When to walk close to the angry neighbor's, the neighbor's angry dog, or when to cross the street and avoid the dog. Same with human beings. Timing. The book said it better. There is a time for everything under heaven. We're often ready to say that we're just ordinary. You can almost hear me falling asleep as I say it. And we do. We're so tired. We heave a sigh. Say, I'm just ordinary, really. We don't want to be noticed. Or don't we just? Don't we just? Yes, we want to be ordinary, but if we have it in us to be better than that, should we not exercise it? It is common to hear people say, I'm no one, really, no one. But then if I prick them a little bit, they say, but I have my dignity, I have my status, I have my achievements, I have a few special things in my life, there's my worth. And the scripture said, oh yes, you who were once a nobody, you who were once outside the fence have now been brought inside. You are now somebody. Did you know it? Oh, of course you want to deny it at times. You do go out of your way to deny it in your behavior, in the way you talk, all of that. But it says you are a chosen race. You who were not part of the people of God, you are now his people. Once unworthy of his acceptance, you are now accepted and blessed. So by all means, be ordinary. I won't take that away from you. But be special too. To somebody. To a child. To a partner. To somebody. To your dog. To yourself. To your higher self. How to be an O+ person. Ordinary, yes, plus. Follow the code. Follow the code. Love your enemies. Be generous. Go the second mile, forgive 490 times, and then start over again. Most of us are happy to be ordinary. So long as we know that there are areas in our life when we're more than ordinary, we're O plus. O plus. Jesus, when he said, give your shirt, give your coat, may not have been speaking only or literally of shirts and coats. I think he was being much more than that. He could have been saying something much more. You are hanging on to your shirt, the shirt of your disappointments and the overcoat of your depression. Throw them away. Give them away. You might have seen how we sometimes approach people with suspicion and anger, as if they're the shirts and overcoats we're wearing. He might have seen how we have our blind spots in our behavior, our mistakes we keep repeating, as if we have thrown the overcoat over our eyes and we don't see it. But he says, give them away. Give the shirt away. Give the overcoat away. Be freer. Be ordinary plus. Find a new level of generosity and enjoyment. It's a gift. Life. Discover a new way to be O plus today. O plus plus tomorrow. And on you go. So I'm almost through. And being almost through, I'm going to repeat myself. Old men do that. So allow me to just repeat myself. Because you see, I happen to think that what I've said to you today is so important. Gustav Mahler, a man of many sadnesses in his life, gave the world some of its greatest music. He turned an ordinary existence into ordinary plus. We drove home the other night and thought of 7 things to ponder as a person's life comes to an end. I spoke about how a city can change its ordinariness by putting a few stupid objects down the street, all in different colours of cows. And it changed Chicago, and it changed Shepparton, and it changed everybody who looked at them. They said, oh, look at that. And Dr. Daniel Callahan remembered his mother, how she showed that she would be different by getting away from the aging stereotypes, wearing different clothing, being a different person. There is something in all of us that wants to hear that we are something more than just ordinary. And then we came to the words of Jesus. Bursting in upon us, he said, if you want to be different, if you want to get beyond being ordinary like everybody else, if you like, if you want to be ordinary plus, love your enemies. Go the second mile. Forgive 490 times and then go again. Give away your shirt, whatever it is. Give away your overcoat. It's now too heavy. You who were once nobody, the Bible says you are now somebody. Unique, different, no longer ordinary. That's what your religion says. Your religion says that. I know many people say, religion, that's nonsense. Who wants religion? Who wants to waste their time on this church stuff? Yes, it is nonsense. Yes, it is a waste of time. But if it says, you always thought you were ordinary, but you're more than that. If it says you can be different, you can be ordinary, of course, very ordinary, but you can be ordinary plus. If your religion and your church change the way you see yourself, change your relationships, your dealings with each other, the way you talk to each other, if your religion changes your behavior from being immersed in ordinariness to being someone really worth something, to something for yourself, for others, then that's not nonsense anymore. That's not a waste of time. You see, if your religion and your church restores your belief in yourself as a person of worth, then that is one of the most important things to happen. If it helps you to find a new balance in your life, a new sense of its bliss, then it is a good time to be alive. So as you go from this place today, remember, you're no longer ordinary. You've been here. Oh yes, you've been here. People lost in their ordinariness are not here. You are here, and therefore you are ordinary plus today. Walk through life with a new label. It says ordinary plus. Would you stand? Say with me, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And the blessing, you've come for the blessing. Now go with this blessing. May the God you see in all the colours of creation arouse in you a sense of awe and wonder. May the God who is a sacred presence be real to you. May the God who is a source of inspiration and courage keep calling you forwards. May your God go with you and bless you today and always.